Welcome to my tutorial for Double Dragon for the NES, and this is the Switch port from the eShop. So this version actually allows you to save anywhere at any time since it has save states supported. They're built into the game. So this version took me around an hour and 14 minutes to beat, and I made my own checkpoints using saves this time. Now when I originally beat the game, I did it on the 2 or 3 lives that the game gives you, and the game doesn't give you any continue. So if you're playing the NES version, that's pretty much what I'm going to be basing the tutorial on. But of course, when I played it this time, it was more for demonstration purposes and to add an extra kill to my Switch kill list, games beaten list. So since this version does allow saves, I allowed myself to use them, but I didn't abuse them by killing one enemy and then saving or anything like that. Not that this game is that difficult that you would really benefit from doing that, but I made some checkpoints, but I didn't really go crazy with it. If I wanted to beat the game, of course, faster, I would have saved a lot more frequently. But I figured I would just give a basic demonstration. This is not going to go into the details of all the moves you can unlock by leveling up your character and the ways that you grind to level up your hearts faster. Now, by building up your hearts below your health bar, you can actually earn new moves. That's how you get new moves. And you start off, kind of shittier with less moves in your arsenal. But I'm not really going to be going into that because I don't remember all the details as far as how many hearts earns you what moves and the best ways to grind out hearts. I used to know how to do all that shit. But of course, I beat the game many, many years ago, way before I had recording capabilities. So, all that information is kind of lost to me now without, researching it. So this is kind of just a quick tutorial to show you how to kind of beat the game with some basic moves and, nothing too advanced. But I thought it would be cool to do a commentary, do a little tutorial over this just to give some basics of what I learned in that hour and 14 minutes. And I'm sure I kind of jogged my memory a little bit from when I did beat it many years ago. But, of course, I would have had to have made the tutorial back then to really give a fresh perspective. Just for the fuck of it, I walk up this wall. This is kind of a amusing glitch you could always do in the game, but it serves no purpose. So, early in the game, you're mainly going to want to be using kicks, as punches are pretty much useless unless you're trying to build up your hearts faster. If you punch enemies more, you get maybe an extra 5 points or so. I think you get 20 points per punch that you land, and 15 points per kick. That's what it seemed to be. So the hearts are based on your points, which is basically an XP system of leveling up. So if you want more XP, obviously, you're going to want to hit guys more and not knock them into pits even, because that does waste. You can get more XP by fighting them. But just for the fuck of it, I always used to kick this guy into the pit. This is the boss of the stage. You can really exploit the first few bosses in the game, which is kind of amusing. And you'll see that in the next stage as well. Here you'll see I'm saving, pretty often, between stages mainly, and then in some of the longer stages I make multiple checkpoints per stage. Of course, you cannot do that in the original NES game, but, this is just a demonstration. So you get full health replenishment when you go to a new stage, and often when you go to a new area within a stage. There are no health pickups or anything like that. Now, if you want to risk it, you can try punching guys more to accumulate more points over time. But this game is kind of janky in the way where you exchange blows with guys, you get fucked up over more often than not. So it's not like a regular beat 'em up where once you land the first punch, you can kind of combo the guy until he falls to the ground. And this, whether you're kicking a guy or punching him, they end up getting some hits in anyway and draining your health. It's pretty cheap, and it's just the way the game always was. It's not a great beat 'em up, but I'm definitely going to do a review on it, which will be coming soon. But if you decide to straight up just punch a guy by mashing punch, you're going to get hit a lot more than if you decide to stay back a little bit and use the extra range of your kick to rapidly kick the guy. So it's just safer to keep kicking somebody. If you get weapons, you can use them as well. Obviously, by pressing punch over the weapon, you'll get that. And the weapons do go away whenever the wave of enemies is killed. Basically, you can't carry them for very long. But you can see so far, nothing too complicated. Mainly just kicking the enemies at this point. Keep a little bit of distance and just mash kick, and enemies will kind of go into it. Like all beat 'em ups, you want to be a little bit above or below your enemies so that they kind of walk diagonally into your kicks. And that's just an old strat for beat 'em ups. So of course here there's a very easy way to get these people in the pit over here, these bitches. So if you got the whip, you can whip them in, or you can jump kick them in, or just kick combo them off the ledge if you want to kill them faster. If you want more points, then obviously don't kick enemies in the pits. If you're interested in getting some of your moves earlier, you don't. It's not really farming, but if you want, you can try to accumulate more points. If it doesn't drain all your health, you don't want to get killed either. But if you do die, you will keep your hearts. Now for this boss, all you got to do is walk up and then walk back down when he comes out the door. And after about 2 ladders or so, the boss just dies and you get the victory music, which you won't hear in the tutorial version. But see, that's it. Stage is done. You see me freeze in place there. That's because the stage ended. And that's it. You pretty much glitch him off screen. You don't even have to fight that guy. But of course, now you're going to be fighting those guys as regular enemies. So it's not like a huge advantage to skip the guy. But it was always an amusing thing that I would do in the game. One thing you really need to be careful of in the game is knives and dynamite. Weapons like that will really drain your health really fast. Stages, usually have a few checkpoints in them if you do die, but you want to try to minimize it. So take out the knife guys first, obviously. Use a jump kick on the knife guys when they first appear to knock them down, and then finish them off with your kicks as usual. For now, with these guys, you're going to want to keep kicking them and moving up and down, and you should be able to get them pretty decently. Later, you'll get the head grab kick, which will damage them faster. But I didn't grind for any moves or anything in this playthrough, so I just kind of got whatever moves came to me, through just playing normally. But when I used to play this game years ago, I knew tricks and stuff where I could grind out more hearts and get stronger earlier in the game. And there's definitely ways to do it. So maybe something you may want to look into. Now, I always recommend with these type of games to do a practice run first with save states, just to learn the game. Now if you're playing on the eShop version, you can play it however you want. I mean, I think it's legit if you use the saves even to, kind of make your own checkpoints anywhere, because it's built into the game. So I mean, you can pretty much, you're not violating the rules of the game or using a cheat code or anything. But if you want to beat this on the NES, I recommend doing a safe state run first, where you just practice sections that may give you trouble. Practice them and beat them a few times. And that way, when you get to them, it's not going to be something new to you where you don't know what to do. You'll have it in your muscle memory, and you'll know what to do. The main thing to practice in this game is going to be the final boss gauntlet with all the enemies and the final bosses. That's the hardest part of the game. So you're going to want to practice that until you have it down pretty good. So that's going to be the hardest part. There's also a little bit of a maze-like aspect to this game, where if you don't go through the right doors, you get sent way back. So you got to know which doors to go in, which you'll see. So I made myself another checkpoint here. My health was really low, but I did manage to... I think after this, I may have died and used the check and actually used the life here. I'm not sure. It does get really close. I think I did. But mostly I don't show, too many deaths in this playthrough, I don't think. Unless I got to some areas, unless I got new progress within that life, then I may show them. I think that's why I'm going to be showing a death here, because I got to the actual stage checkpoint, not the checkpoints I made with saves. So for these guys, you're going to see that it's not really too effective to try to keep kicking them like I'm doing here. And I probably learned the hard way. I think I figured it out later that it was better to just jump kick them, even though it takes really long. But for now, I think I'm still using the old kick method, which really is not the best way to deal with them. But later on, we'll get the elbow, which makes them way easier. You can kill them in 4 hits each. But until we earn the elbow, I don't think I have the elbow yet. But I didn't look up the moves, so I didn't know when I had new moves unless I accidentally did them or something. But we'll see that later. But what I would recommend doing is not doing this. I would recommend jump kicking these guys. It takes long, but if you jump kick both of them, it's a lot lower risk. And, jump kick is much easier to land on these guys. But if you do miss with your jump kick, they'll kind of duck it. Then make sure you jump kick back out in the opposite direction to get away really fast so you don't get hit. And then come back in with some more jump kicks. That would be my recommended strat. Not what you saw me do there. That was kind of sloppy. But once you make it into this cave, you get a full health refill. You just want to kind of walk slowly and avoid these things that are falling. My controller was kind of janky with the D-pad, this Retrobit controller, 6-button Genesis style controller, and it would stutter when I was walking, which kind of made it harder to play the game. But once you get here, just stand here, let the screen fully scroll, and then you're going to make jump kicks onto these platforms. And it's very easy if you're patient with it, but don't try to edge jump. Don't go all the way to the edge of the platforms because the game is very sloppy with that. If you go too far to the edge, you'll just do a weird animation with your mouth open and you'll just fall straight down. So stay like in the middle of the platform and jump kick from there. And it should be very easy platforming. This game does not have good controls for platforming. It's really not designed for that, but it's doable once you understand how it works. You just don't want to be on the edges of platforms pretty much. So for these guys, you've dealt with them before. It's easier because they're on a single plane this time, so they can't circle around you. So just keep them both on one side. And, kick them. Use the hair pull kick, which basically if you kick a guy when he's stunned, you move forward and you'll grab his head. And then just mash kick. And the hair pull kick, or whatever you want to call it, it will accelerate the damage. So it's a good early move. So main thing here is, this is another checkpoint. Main thing here is to avoid getting hit by that dynamite. And second to that, maybe have the enemies walk into the dynamite, which will pretty much kill them instantly. So it fucks you up really bad, but if you can get them to walk into it, it kills them. So you can use it to your advantage. The most dangerous thing is when they throw the dynamite. If it lands on your shoulder, it will hit you and do massive damage. So do not let it hit you from the air. Let the dynamite hit the ground and stay away from it, or lure the enemies into it. You want to kind of lure the enemy to throw the dynamite and back away. And that makes it easy. That way you don't have to worry about them hitting you with it. Here, just keep moving forward. Make a few jumps and just keep moving forward. Now just fall down these ledges. It doesn't hurt you to fall like that, where you see his mouth is fucking open. It doesn't actually hurt you. But it can get you killed if you fall off a platform into a pit or something like that. It's very risky around the edges. So the trick here is what I should have done on the other Abobos is just jump kick them. From now on, jump kick them until you get the elbow. Once we get the elbow, I don't think I have the elbow yet, but I'm not sure. I don't know how many hearts it takes to unlock the elbow. But you're going to be fighting two of these green Abobos, but at least they're not at the same time. So it can get sloppy, and we may be seeing a death here, but we'll see. I think I may have ended up pulling it off, but I'm not sure. But yeah, you basically just want to, you'll memorize the range in which you want to start your jump kick. It's always the same range. You just got to kind of memorize the distancing, and you should be able to hit them pretty much every time. But occasionally I do fuck it up, or maybe I just get unlucky and he ducks it. So then you want to just jump kick your ass right out of there too. If you miss him, jump kick right out of there and get out of there fast, because he'll beat the shit out of you if you can. You want to keep a distance and just land jump kicks. It takes quite a few jump kicks, but it's probably the safest way to deal with them until you get the elbow. And once you get the elbow, you'll see how much easier it makes these guys. This was a game I owned when I was young, and although it was very disappointing not to be getting the arcade experience at all in this game, it wasn't anything like the arcade game, aside from maybe the music and, the art style. But I actually did like the game. I played it a lot. I wasn't able to beat it when I was younger, though. I did beat it much, much later, many years later. I think I may have used emulation just to practice, as far as practicing the final bosses and shit like that. But I went through the game legit. So this part is very easy. You can even kick a lot of these enemies off the ledges, multiple at the same time. You want to follow the route that I take here. because that's the way, to go. This one's more straightforward, but some of the other levels, it's a little tricky to know where to go. So that door at the bottom, that purple door, is going to open once you kill enough enemies. You can't try to skip ahead like I tried to do here. You do have to kill these few enemies. I think there's maybe 4 more Lindas to deal with. Basically just kick the shit out of them. Very easy. Now by this point we may have the elbow, and I didn't realize it. If I had the elbow by now, I would have been using it, which I may have it, but I didn't know when it unlocked or how to do it. But it's very easy to do. You just face the enemy in the opposite direction and hit punch, and you'll do the elbow. It's very simple. So now I'm making another save for stage 4, which this is the final mission, but it's quite long. So first you got these traps, which are a pain in the ass. I recommend waiting a little bit and then jump kicking across, but it's kind of random whether or not I get hit by these things. There's probably a more consistent way to do it. But you see, I took a lot of health loss, but I was able to make it farther, even with lower health. So this guy will go up in the upper right corner while you can deal with his friend if you position yourself right. Just avoid the knives. The knives are a big problem. You want to take out the knife guys. Use the hair pole kick to throw these guys into the pit. It makes it really easy to throw them into the pit. You see, it was getting close here, but this is a pretty easy way to deal with them. They don't seem to fall for elbows too often either, so I don't know that elbows would be too effective on them. Now, for this Abobo, you don't have to fight him at all. Just go, as soon as he appears, just go straight up, and you'll glitch him out just like we did with the second boss. So these guys are very easy. Had I known about the elbow, like I said, I could have killed these guys a lot faster. So I did take a death here. Even though I was making my own checkpoints, I accepted the death just so I could get my health back. And so now I got my full health back. But you do get a checkpoint right here at these 2 enemies. So something to keep in mind, that if you do die here, you get a checkpoint. Of course, you only have maybe 3 lives to work with to beat the game. They don't give you a lot of lives. I don't think you earn any 1-ups off of points either. So, no continues. So the game is punishing in that regard. It's definitely a fairly challenging game, but it's really not too bad. I do have the ground punch, which is a good way to finish enemies off. You go over their body, and then I think you press down to mount them, and then mash punch. But I should have just been using the elbows. I think I didn't realize that I had it. I'm guessing I have them by now. So this little section here is a little maze-like. So just follow the path and the doors and everything that I take. Follow the route that I take, and you shouldn't have any issues. There's nothing hard here. You can't make that jump. That's a real wide jump. So you got to go up through all this shit. You can jump kick those guys off the ledge or kick them off, hair throw or whatever. Pretty easy to deal with. So here I made a jump, but I went a little too far. I think you can land on the platform, but if not, if you make it to this other area, just wait till it goes down and then jump across. Just remember not to jump from the edges. Don't ever go to the edges of any platforms, because you'll likely just fall off. Like I said, the game doesn't have really good platforming control at all. You can't shorten your jump length or anything either, so it's only one distance, so you got to make sure you got your spacing right when you make your jumps. But it's really not hard once you realize how it works. Double Dragon 2 for the NES had some much trickier platforming where you had disappearing platforms that you really had to memorize to beat, stage 6 especially. which was a big weakness of Double Dragon 2, even though I really enjoyed the game. I didn't like the emphasis on all the platforming, but, of course I did beat the game. I'm not sure if I ever made I think I may have made a tutorial on that one. The third game I also completed, but I don't think I ever was able to record it. I think it was before I had recording capabilities. But see, now we have the elbow, so you just want to face the opposite direction of the enemy and just punch. And you see, it kills these guys in one hit each. It's extremely powerful. It's your most powerful move. So now you're going to see what the elbow can do. And this is the final gauntlet of the game. This is the final enemy and boss gauntlet area. So this is going to be one of the most important areas to practice with save states. Make sure you can beat all these guys in one life, because there are no checkpoints during this fight. It starts you at the beginning of this room with those Williams that I was elbowing. That's where it's going to start you if you lose a life. So you got to be able to do all this on one life. So, practice it until you're confident with it, especially the machine gun guy and the clone that comes out of the hardest part. But you see, now that you have the elbow, you can just mash it and get above or below these guys a little bit, and they will walk into the elbow as long as you keep mashing elbow. So you're going to be facing the opposite direction and mashing punch, basically, to keep spamming it. Use the knife for a little extra damage. Now, these guys don't seem to really respond too much to elbows. They can be tricky enemies, so I usually just use regular kicks on them. Or the hair pull move is good. But either way. Now these will be killed in one hit with the elbow, so very easy. The elbow really simplifies things. These guys are also very easy. They die fast. Now you have Machine Gun Willie. So I made a save for that, made my own checkpoint here. But now you have the, which is normally the final boss in the original game, but unless you're playing on two players and you fight each other. But yeah, for this guy, you kind of just want to keep walking up or down constantly because, even at a diagonal it's fine, but you want to be moving up and down because if you stand in one place for just a little bit too long, you get machine gunned. And if that happens, you lose a massive amount of health. So you really don't want to get hit by his machine gun. So the main thing is to keep walking up or down and try to get that first kick in. If you can land the first kick, you can try to hair grab him and do extra damage. See, and I took him out pretty fast that way. It was effective. But you got to keep moving up and down and be accurate with your kicks and trying to get a kick in. It's a little tricky. Now, for this guy, I just tried a different strat, which ended up working. I mean, I did lose most of my health, but it did end up being effective. Because elbows are the most powerful move. I just went straight for elbows only, pretty much. So I would just go a little bit up or a little bit down and mash elbow. It's a very simple thing to pull off. But there may be some luck involved whether you succeed doing this because, it is possible you'll take enough damage to kill you, too. So it is a little risky. But this guy's tricky. If you try to combo him and fight him normally, he breaks out of your combos, constantly. So I found this to be, somewhat of a reliable method. It's definitely something to try if you're practicing with save states. Try it out. As long as you don't lose, a lot of life on Willie or whatever, you should have enough health to pull this off by just mashing the elbow and going up and down a little bit. But he's definitely going to get some hits in with this method. Another thing you can do is kick him twice and then turn around and elbow him. It's a little combo you can do. It's more reliable than trying to just, do all of your kicks in one combo because he'll probably break out of it. So you could kick him twice and then while he's still stunned, turn around and elbow him. It's a combo you can do, but for me, it just seemed better to just stick to the elbows. I'm sure there's an easier way to do it. But like I said, this is kind of just a quick tutorial, and it may give some good information for a simple way to approach the game without any farming or anything like that. So yeah, that's it. I'm definitely going to be reviewing the game soon, so check that out. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching.